daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Daily Premier League podcast brought to you by the Global Sports Podcast Network. It is the 26th of November, 2025. I popped out to a shop this morning. Christmas everywhere you go. Now, I know that makes me feel like I'm a hermit and I didn't realise Christmas was coming, but it's very much in full swing at my local shopping centre. My name is Nick Britton. I'm your host today. No Ken Davis today, but he'll be back with us tomorrow. So just me for the next 25 minutes or so, just going through some of the key bits and bobs that are going on, knocking around the Premier League, knocking around football at the moment. We are going to start in just a moment with an amusing story that's being reported here, there and everywhere today around the chaos and carnage surrounding, it's not Premier League, almost, but the Women's Super League Cup draw last night, which went, let's just say, not to plan. Particularly, it ended in a little bit of farce. We will be analysing the Premier League teams' performances in the Champions League last night. One very good result, two pretty poor ones there. We'll come on to that in just a moment. And we're going to have a quick look at, Wolverhampton Wanderers. Dreadful start to the campaign. Sack their manager, new manager in, first game, guess what happens? Yep, they lose. No surprise there. What happens? We're going to ask the question here. What happens if Wolves' form continues for the rest of the season? And I've got some bad news for Wolves fans and some very good news for Derby County fans, of whom I am one, it must be said. And it might look that this season, our record of being the worst team in Premier League history might just go. So we're going to have a look at that and then one or two other stories that are knocking around. But we're going to start with an amusing tale from... it has made me laugh, this. The Women's Super League Cup draw for the quarterfinals and the semi-finals took place last night. And it was broadcast live on the WSL TikTok page. So I think we know what's coming here. It's going to be edgy. It's going to be different. It's going to be, it was certainly all of those things. It was done and hosted by the influencer G.K. Barry and her girlfriend, who is the Portsmouth midfielder, Ella Rutherford. And it was carnage, really, because Barry kept on making some sort of lewd sexual type references throughout. And the nadir of the whole thing is when she picked a ball out of their bag for the draw, dropped it back into the bag, put her hand back in, pulled out another ball, which turned out to be the same numbered ball, and the whole thing just felt like it had an air of absolute chaos about it. So, what on earth is going? What on earth is going on here? You'll have a view here. You'll have a view here as to whether or not you should look to change the style of cup draws. Now, we're all football fans. We all like a good cup draw, and we all watch a draw where our team is involved. But this is the Women's Super League Cup. And if I can tell you, anybody who knows football in the UK will tell you that the men's World Cup, the men's League Cup, is of no interest to anybody, really, until you get to the very, very latter stages. Well, it's the same in the Women's League Cup, where even the final last year only pulled in a crowd of about 15,000. That was down the road here at Derby. And it's not really a very well-supported competition. They were looking to get interest. So they thought, well, rather than do a boring old draw, let's do something a little bit edgier. Let's get influencers along. Let's do it on TikTok. Let's make it all funny and all this kind of stuff. I don't think they meant it to be as funny as it turned out to be. I should say that. So during one sequence, Barry dropped a ball in. She picked a ball out, dropped it back in, said, "Oh, am I allowed to do that? Oh, I've done it now. It's too late." And then picked the ball out and went, "Oh, I've picked out the same ball." Now, this suddenly draws, in seriousness for a moment, draws the whole integrity of the draw massively into question. And in fact, the WSL organisers said that had Barry pulled out a different ball, having dropped the first one in, the draw would have been stopped and then started again. But they allowed it to continue because she pulled out the same ball, and that's fair enough. She went on during the course. They're clearly having a good time to have a go at Tottenham. What do we think of Tottenham? She said. She talked about giving the bag that was full of balls. I don't even want to go down this road. There were just lots of There are just lots of lewd, sexual, lesbian-related references throughout it all. So there we are. And I'm just interested to kind of get a sense of where everybody's at with this, because I'm all for trying something new. I'm all for trying to attract different audiences. Equally, I think we can't ignore the fact that in the modern era, that influencers have an important part to play in broadening audiences, particularly in the women's game. Social media has a vital role to play. I mean, lots of people just follow football now through social media. They'll never ever go near a ground, but they'll follow football through social media. And trying these things, I think, is really good. But there is a line, I think. There is a line between having a good time, doing something different, as I say, being a bit edgy, and risking the integrity of the competition, and indeed, I wouldn't say risking the reputation, that's going far too far, but potentially damaging the reputation of women's football, because this is not a good look. Whatever you want to say, this is not really a great look. It's a story that will run for a couple of days and disappear forever. But right here, right now, it's not a great look. And I wonder what the powers that be in women's football are thinking about it today, and whether they think they've made the right decision or not. Maybe they do. Maybe because it's made headlines all across the UK, they think that actually, no, it's done the job. It's raised the profile. Let's face it, nobody would have known that the Women's Super League quarter-final and semi-final draw was made last night unless you were a follower of one of the teams in it. So maybe it's done its job because we're all talking about it today. But should these things be like this? Should actually, football's a serious business. There's lots of money involved. There's lots of aspiration involved. Millions and millions and millions of people follow it and have a very strong emotional attachment to their team. Should actually these things be more serious and taken more seriously to protect the integrity of the game? There's money at stake. There's fame at stake. There's a lot at stake. There's careers at stake. Or actually, do we just relax a little bit and think, well, this is the future. This is the way of the world. It's understood that at least one WSL club has requested the original footage of the draw just to check, for integrity purposes. I guess we don't know who that is, but I guess they got a bad draw out of it. And will GK Barry and Ella Rutherford get asked back next season? I don't know. There won't be another draw. Because this was for the quarters and semis, and obviously you don't need a draw for the final, so that's it for this season. If you don't know who GK Barry is, by the way, neither did I until last year, I think, or the year before, whatever. She was on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, the UK version of that. Apparently she has one or two other things, but she's big on TikTok, and that's all you need to know. And that's really why I don't know it that well. She's big on TikTok, and they wanted a big TikTok star to do their TikTok draw, and that is the result. It's not, listen, the use of celebrity, guys, the use of celebrity is not unheard of. Rod Stewart, I remember Rod Stewart doing a Scottish draw a few years ago, and I think he was a little bit worse for wear, is probably the nicest thing I could say about it. I remember Liam Gallagher or Noel Gallagher, one of the two, probably Liam Gallagher, do an FA Cup draw before. So the use of celebrity is not unknown in all of this. But I think we could probably do without the dropping the balls back into the bag and lots of jokes about lesbians. Thank you very much. And before you called me an old prude and an old stuffy thing, then I have no issue whatsoever with GK Barry at all. And I've got no issue with getting influencers on or broadcasting on TikTok. I think it's all necessary as long as it's all done in the right manner. That's one of the stories that's knocking around today. It's an interesting one. It's a good fun one. We're going to be having a look in just a moment at last night's performances in the European Champions League. 3 games involving English clubs: Chelsea, Newcastle, Man City. Very mixed results. And we'll talk about those in just a moment. Before we do that, well, Ken's not here today, but here is his voice from beyond the ether to have a word from our sponsor.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
You're listening to the Daily Premier League podcast, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. Chelsea 3, Barcelona 0, Manchester City 0. Who were they playing? They were at home, weren't they, to Bayer Leverkusen? Bayer Leverkusen 2, Marseille 2, Newcastle United 1 were the three results involving the English teams last night in the Champions League. Let's start at Stamford Bridge. A fantastic performance by the emerging star of Chelsea, and that's the winger Estevao. Oh, God, I can never get this right because it's got accents all over the place. Estevao Willian. He's a player, by the way, who I'm itching, and I mean itching, to get in my fantasy league team, but I can't at the moment without incurring, because I've got one or two injuries, and you're only allowed one sub per week without incurring points deductions. So I'm biding my time, but this week might be the week that I get Estevao into my team. He was up against Lamal, fellow teenage superstar, and there's only one winner out of that. Chelsea won 3-0. Estevao scored a goal, 55 minutes, and that really, I think, probably put the game beyond Barcelona because they were down to 10 men at that stage. And Liam Delap, actually, good news for Liam Delap because he's had his troubles settling in after his big money move from Ipswich over the summer. Delap got the third goal. Now, Chelsea were really, really good. They were really good. I don't think anybody would have expected them to just walk over Barcelona in the way they did, but they controlled the game from start to finish in lots of ways. I mean, if you have a look at the stats, they had better possession. Not many teams out-possessioned Barcelona, but they had 55% possession, 15 shots to Barcelona's 5, 6 on target to Barcelona's 2. And importantly, when you look at the chances created, which is indicated by the XG, I'm not a great fan of XG, but it is quite useful when set in context to anything else. 1.76 compared to 0.79, which basically means that they were creating better chances and better goal scorers opportunities than Barcelona. 4 corners to none, etc., etc. You know, the attacking stats were all in Chelsea's favour in terms of shots on target, shots off target, attempts from the outside the box, and all of that kind of stuff. It was a really, really, really good performance by the men in blue. Now, we were talking, Ken and I, on Tuesday night's podcast. It was Tuesday night's podcast about Chelsea, and they're quietly creeping up. They're in second spot in the Premier League. They're playing Arsenal on Sunday, and that's going to be a momentous game. I'm not going to say, and nobody can say at this stage, it's going to be a title decider, but it is going to be a great game and an indication, I think, of where Chelsea are at. They struggled earlier in the season, I think, when Cole Palmer was injured. They struggled to work out where and how to play without him. But certainly Estevao's, I think, run in the team has helped enormously give them that flair and give them that creativity that without Palmer they absolutely lacked. And he, after bedding in a little bit, taking his time to find his feet, it really, really feels like he is starting to find his feet for Chelsea, and that can only be a good thing. And Chelsea are looking, they're looking a lot more settled now. I mean, Caicedo, we've talked about him a lot. What a player. He is arguably the league's best midfielder, maybe along with Declan Rice this season. Garnacho, who I'm not the greatest fan of, but he's playing well. He's doing the business. I think this could still do with a little bit more from right at the top end of the pitch. Pedro Neto played there last night. João Pedro's been playing there. Good to see Liam Delap back in. He came off the bench and, as I said, scored last night. And so those attacking options will improve with Delap getting back to fitness. Are they as good as Arsenal? We don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced they are. Arsenal, to me, look a little bit unassailable this season, but I wouldn't think Chelsea are out of it just yet. Not just yet. So cracking result for Chelsea last night. Not so, though, for Manchester City, who lost 2-0 at home to Bayer Leverkusen. And Pep Guardiola made 10 changes, and that's led to a lot of discussion in the media today, particularly around what his ambitions is, what he's trying to do, why. I mean, those 10 changes came against, on the back of a very insipid performance against Newcastle on Saturday, which they lost. They lost the game 2-1. So what is it that Guardiola thought last night about essentially putting out a B-side, a fringe side, that was going to do the difference? Did he take Bayer Leverkusen too lightly? Did he disrespect them? I don't think. No, that's the wrong word. That's wrong. I'm not going to use that word, disrespect. No. Did he take them? I don't think that's fair on Pep. I don't think he disrespects anybody. But did he just take them too lightly and assume that actually the second team, which pretty much it was, would still be good enough to beat Bayer Leverkusen? Was it a question of, look, we've got a really busy run of fixtures coming up. I need to get my fringe players playing football and get some legs in them, get some time in them, see what they can do, but just get them fit because they might have to play in the Premier League and more football over this sort of busy period that's coming up. And, well, whatever it is, it backfired massively. Because Manchester City haven't started that well in the Champions League. I mean, they're in it. Yeah, top 8 is where you need to be. And they're 6th, so no problem there, 10 points. They would have been top had they won last night. So it's not disastrous, all of this. And Pep might well be thinking, well, look, we've done a lot of the hard work. We're going to qualify. I don't worry about that. Therefore, I'm going to put this team out, a bit of an experimental team out, because I can afford to, quite frankly. But they're on 10 points. But it's worth saying that, Napoli in 18th position, so 12 places behind, are only 3 points behind. So it's not like Man City are running away with it and can afford to drop points, I would say. So an odd decision that by Pep. One, hopefully, that won't come back and backfire against him. And then the final game in Champions League involving England teams was at Marseille, where Newcastle United, for the third game on a trot in an away game, third away game on the trot, took the lead and ended up losing. Harvey Barnes scored after 6 minutes, got them off to a perfect start. And then two soft goals, I think, from Newcastle's point of view. Does everybody remember Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang? Yeah, do you remember him when he played for Arsenal for all those years? He's 36 now, scored twice last night for Marseille. And the one that I think will grab the headlines is very much the equaliser, which came 20 seconds into the second half, where it was just a ball over the top. And it was a bit weird. So Nick Pope runs out of his goal, sensing that Aubameyang might be running onto it, but seems to run in the wrong direction. When I was watching it, it reminded me playing the video game FIFA or EA or whatever you want to call it these days, where your goalkeeper goes into glitch or just kind of runs in the wrong direction. Take control of your keeper and send him off running in the wrong direction, because that's what happens when I play FIFA. And he sort of ran out, then stopped, was in complete no man's land and not really anywhere near the ball, when Aubameyang just sort of took it to the side of him and slid it in. It was a very good finish, by the way. It was a very good finish. It was from a tight angle, and it wasn't an empty, like an open goal, can't miss type of thing. That he had to. There was a lot to do to put that ball in the back of the net, but he did. But everybody will be looking at Pope, and it's not the first time he's cost his teams goals this season. And Aaron Ramsdale and the Newcastle bench must be licking his lips and thinking, right, I must be getting the game here. I must be getting the game. They're away at Everton on Saturday, Newcastle, and I'll be very interested to see who takes his place between the sticks there, because Pope not covering himself in glory. So that was on 46 minutes, and then only 4 minutes later, Aubameyang again scoring to make it 2-1. Newcastle again not able to hang on to a lead, not able to take a point out of an away game, and they were just a bit sloppy. Again, Gordon playing at 9. How many times does he have to play at 9 for anybody to realise, least of all Eddie Howe, that it doesn't work, that he can't do that? It's no good. Voltemada on the bench. I'm never going to criticise managers who have to play games in the Premier League and the Champions League, I'm never going to criticise them for for resting players and having to use your squad because you have to. You can't play the same team week in, week out, week in, week out. You just can't do it. But I think, again, it showed that until they have Johan Wissa fit, and we don't know when that's going to happen, until they have him, where they are chronically short up front. I mean, thank goodness for Harvey Barnes, who's hit a rich scoring streak out of absolutely nowhere, but they are short up front, I'm afraid, because without Voltemada, if the answer is Anthony Gordon, it's just not going to work. So, disappointing night for Newcastle. Didn't really look like getting back into it that much after they had conceded twice in that short space of time, and they go down to defeat at Marseille. So the table, as we're looking at it now, has, after those games affecting those teams, Chelsea in 5th and looking good, Man City in 6th and looking good, and Newcastle, they're still in 8th, so they're still in the automatic qualification places with 9 points, but level with Paris Saint-Germain, who are one place above and played a game less, and 3 teams below them, Real Madrid, Liverpool, and Galatasaray. Liverpool and Real have a game in hand. So by the time they play tonight, Newcastle might be out of the automatic qualification spots. So they've got to sort their away form out. They really, really have. Tonight's games involving Premier League teams are as such. Arsenal are at home to Bayern Munich. Tottenham go to PSG. Liverpool at home to PSV. And that's a story in itself, isn't it? Liverpool. And we'll be discussing that and discussing how they get on in tomorrow's podcast.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
You're listening to the Daily Premier League podcast with me, Nick Britton. Right, last bit of the podcast today is having a look. Well, put it like this. If you have a look at the Premier League table down towards the bottom, you'll see this very, very stark statistic, which is Wolverhampton Wanderers played 12, drawn 2, lost 10, won 0. And with a goal difference of minus 20. Ouch. It's nearly December and they haven't won a game yet. They replaced their manager recently, Vito Pereira. No surprise there. In came Rob Edwards from Middlesbrough. And his first game on Sunday ended in a 2-0 defeat at home to Crystal Palace. So the question is, what on earth is going to happen to Wolves? Indeed, what happens if they carry on this form right the way through the season? Now, it'd be really difficult to carry on this form throughout the season and not win a single game. But, Derby, who are the benchmark here, who won only one game in season 2007-2008, and I remember it very, very well. I was there. It hurt. It still hurts. But we're kind of proud of the record, to be fair. We finish up, I should say, with 11 points. One match we won. That was against Newcastle United. Kenny Miller scored. And that was in sort of October time. So we ended up with 11. Southampton last year, we thought we were going to go and do it and beat our record, but they just won a game at the end of the season. And I don't know whether I was annoyed or whether I was quite pleased. I think I was secretly quite pleased that they overtook us, because we are still relevant in football. We're still talked about in football, even if it is by being the worst team in Premier League history. But listen, Wolves have got to be in with a shout. So Southampton finished with 12 points in the end. Wolves have got to be in a shout here. They are certainly down the bottom of where we are at the moment. There's only one team ever who's boasted a lower points total than Wolves at this stage of the season, and that was in 2021, season 2021. And that was Sheffield United, who only had 1 point and a minus 16 goal difference after the first 12 games of the season. Wolves, as I said, have got 2 points, but a worse goal difference, minus 20. So they're already down there as some of the worst performers ever. But the critical thing is this. critical thing is this. If you look at the current points per game ratio of the first dozen games or so, you're looking at around 0.17 or 8 per game. Yeah? 0.17. So less, well, I'll say less than a point, miles less than a point. Now, if you multiply that by 38 games, wait for it. Wolves will finish the season on 6 points. Just let that sink in for a moment. Wolves will finish the season on 6 points. And if you thought Derby's record of 11 was bad, 6 points. Now, let's just bring a little bit of reality here, because there is no real... I don't know. I was going to say there's no prospect of them not winning a game, but actually there probably is, because they're terrible. But surely they're going to get more than 6. That means they're only going to get 4 more points for the rest of the season. No, I can't see it. But what I can see them going throughout the entire season without winning the game, but I can see them picking up some draws. It only takes one, as Southampton found last season. It only takes one game, one victory out of nowhere. And it came, when the pressure was off. I think they'd already been relegated at that stage. And it might happen with Wolves. They might be relegated in February or something, or March, and then go on a little bit of a spurt, because it doesn't matter by then. Certainly the appointment of Rob Edwards, in my mind, and this is only my opinion here, but in my opinion, the appointment of Rob Edwards spoke very loudly to a club that was prepared to be relegated and are looking to put somebody in place who will do what they can this season, but primarily try and bring them back up from the Championship next season, whilst do the things that they want to do, which is, in the words of the Wolves owners recently, rebuild the culture and all of that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's bleak, isn't it? It is bleak for Wolves. But 6 points. Ooh. That's going to hurt. Right, that brings us to the end of this podcast. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. And we're back tomorrow with Ken, and we will have a look at various things that are going on. I've got a little funny story to bring you around the changing of the walkout music at St James's Park for Newcastle United. It's not gone down very, very well. Hasn't impacted the team. Their home form's absolutely terrific. But the fans aren't particularly happy with that. We'll be having a look, no doubt, at tonight's Champions League games. Liverpool, as always, are the story. Can Arsenal carry on their good form? Got a home game against Bayern Munich. And there'll be other stuff. There'll be other stuff to talk about, because you know what? The weekend is coming. The weekend is coming, and there's always good football to talk about at the weekend. So until then, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Look after yourselves, look after each other. Goodbye.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.